On October 26, 2015, in Salt Lake City, Utah, leaders in what some have called the cultural war to save the soul of America gathered from all across the United States to stand for truth. They came to stand against a rising tide of homosexual activism that seeks to replace the natural family and God-given morality with a sex-oriented society in which anything goes.
Whip it. Whip it good.
No shame, no guilt is what this is. We're here to preach love for one another.
And now it's much more about love and emotion and feelings, and if that's the direction that we're going in, if that's the change that we've already made, we might as well just put it all together and make sure that we all know that the change is going in the right direction.
We should be threatening the institution of marriage.
So I think people are right. We are redefining it for the better.
They came to stand with the pastors and concerned citizens of Houston, Texas, who fought against unjust laws that thought to curtail their religious freedoms. They came to stand with the millions of French citizens who thronged the streets of Paris on behalf of marriage and natural families. And they came to stand with others in Utah to protect the constitutional rights of free speech and expression of eternal truths.
And I want to welcome each and every one of you to the Stand for Truth 2015 inaugural conference. The first, but hopefully not the last. We're entering a new era where speaking the truth about homosexuality, especially, and its real effects on men and women physically, spiritually, and emotionally, is becoming absolutely taboo.
The gay identity paradigm includes the belief that being gay is an innate characteristic which cannot change and does no harm. However, the truth is that the empirical case for the gay identity paradigm is weak.
I've read many of these, and they're not good studies. You're not being told about the predictors of homosexuality. You're not being told the truth about the mental issues associated with homosexuality, the fluidity of sexual orientation, and finally, the safety of change therapies.
You're going to have a lot of heart-rending stories on the surface, some of them worth paying attention to, but that's what's going on. This really isn't about protecting children. It's not about discrimination of gays and lesbians and anything else. This is not about it. Folks, this movement, in my opinion, is only about one thing: the complete normalization of homosexuality and transgenderism in every society on the planet.
David and I both belong to the California Association of Marriage and Family Therapists, and that association will not let us advertise. They said, we don't like the therapy you do, we think it's harmful, which is not true. You may not advertise in any of our publications. You may not present at any conferences. Okay? We are being marginalized and oppressed for what we believe. So it's a very serious situation.
I believe the lie that the pornography and the fantasy life was my new safe place. In His mercy, God allowed all of the pain that I was harboring for the last 30 plus years to come to the surface. And He was able to meet me in that pain that I had buried. I'm not defined, you're not defined by what we did, by what's been done to us, but by what has been done for us on Calvary.
Then I discovered chat rooms, and there were people on there who were much older and much more experienced than I was, who were looking for people, who were looking for partners, for no commitment, one-time activities. My message is change is possible. It has been done, so it can be done. And it's not a message of hate, it's a message of hope.
You know, surrounded by men having sex with men, it just made me feel very, very devastated inside. And my father has no clue that, and no doctor seemed to consider the possibility when you're a child growing up from infancy in a homosexual active home, that there are going to be health risks.
I grew up with a grandmother at the age of 4 who cross-dressed me and who made me a purple chiffon evening dress. And Dr. Stanley Biber in Trinidad, Colorado performed gender reassignment surgery on me when I was 42. In fact, when I asked the pastor, I said, "Are you going to try to change me?" He says, "No." He said, "I'm not going to try to change you." He says, my job is to love you. It's God's job to change you." And anybody who struggles with these issues, we know today, are struggling with issues that happened in early childhood, and through good therapy, good counseling, prayer, and good people, all of them, if they have a desire and a willingness, can be redeemed and restored just as I have been.
Homosexuality has become so widespread. You're hearing about it everywhere, not only in our schools, in magazines, on TVs, in our colleges, and now we're hearing about it in our churches.
Because the guy that I thought I would live with for the rest of my life, as we were preparing for marriage, I decided to walk away one night and sleep with a woman and live a homosexual life for 14 years.
We have tragically watched our nation cave to homosexual propaganda. More and more people are falling for the lie that homosexuals are born that way. They are still searching for that gay gene, and they'll never find it. Let's take a stand tonight together, because if God can be for us, who can be against us?
I believe that this ultimately can be won. I mean, it's inevitable that it will be won. It's just a matter of when. We've had many victories. A lot of people have talked about how they've been really horribly harassed by the homosexual movement. They're basically bullies. If you stand up to them, they act like bullies and back down.
We need to remember, as we're facing the enemy, if you will, that the enemy that we really are up against, we can't see. Those that we can see are caught in the snares of deception and are being used as pawns for the real enemy. And we must love them enough to speak truth to them with clarity, with consistency, with boldness, and with love. That is the only hope they have to be free. If we won't speak the truth and tell them who they are, and say, God created you in his likeness, created them male and female, and he gave us his laws for your good.
There's a verse in the Bible. It says, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free."
And the men and women who we have just seen today, who are willing to sacrifice and take the arrows and the darts and stand up and be counted and give clarity to these issues that the other side is real happy to confuse us and our children on. These are the heroes of today, in my opinion. These are the heroes.